Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're cutting right through the flashy tech hype surrounding global shipping and diving deep into how this massive industry is actually modernizing. If you just casually browse business news, you'd probably think the entire global supply chain has already been completely revolutionized by futuristic code. But the truth of how trillions of dollars of physical goods move around the planet, well, it's actually a much richer, much more complex story than that.
I mean, you've probably seen headlines exactly like this one, right? Claiming blockchain will just instantly solve global trade. But honestly, this is fundamentally misleading. It totally overstates and mislabels the technology that's actually being deployed out there. The shipping industry is absolutely undergoing a massive transformation, for sure, but it is definitely not some overnight replacement by autonomous code.
Okay, let's really dive into this. The real story here isn't about code automating everything. It's about a complex, in-depth legal and technical race to digitize a piece of paper that literally holds up the global economy. For centuries, a singular physical document has dictated exactly who owns the cargo on a ship. What we're witnessing right now is the incredibly painstaking process of bringing that 500-year-old physical legal concept into the digital age. To really grasp the mechanics of this evolution, we're going to break this down into 5 core areas. 1, the smart contract myth. 2, the exclusive possession problem. 3, MLETR and the legal fix. 4, the India reality check. And 5, adoption and interoperability breakthroughs. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the smart contract myth. Let's start by clarifying exactly what an electronic bill of lading, or an EBL, technically is and what it isn't, because the terminology here really matters. A smart contract, in the strict technical sense, is self-executing code on a blockchain that automatically performs an action when a condition is met. While some platforms out there do use blockchain logic for automated transfers, most EBLs currently in use are simply highly secure, registry-based digital versions of the exact same legal document used in paper. They aren't autonomous robots replacing lawyers. They are just digital equivalents of a highly critical legal document.
Moving right along to Section 2, the exclusive possession problem.
So, if it's just a digital document, why has it been so incredibly hard to modernize? Well, to answer that, we have to look at what a traditional bill of lading actually does. It performs 3 distinct legal jobs all at once. First, it acts as a receipt of goods. Second, it serves as evidence of a carriage contract between the shipper and the carrier. Now, digitizing a receipt or a contract, that's trivial. We do that every single day. But that third step, acting as a document of title, that is a massive, incredibly complex hurdle. What's super interesting about this puzzle is the concept of exclusive possession. In the physical world, exclusive possession works beautifully because there is only one original piece of paper. Whoever holds it owns the cargo. Simple. But how do you prove you hold the one exclusive original of a digital file? By its very nature, a digital file can be copied infinitely. And the moment you copy a document of title, you completely destroy its legal foundation. Solving that, proving a single, exclusive, transferable digital original, is what this entire EBL effort is actually all about. Getting this right is absolutely crucial because the physical paper system is just so incredibly costly. Over 50% of first presentation documents actually contain discrepancies. We're talking about something as tiny as a missing LTD or a slightly wrong HS code, which is the Universal Customs Classification Number used globally to identify products. Or it could cause issues with letters of credit, which are essentially the bank guarantees ensuring a seller actually gets paid. When errors happen here, it causes massive customs holds. Meanwhile, modern cargo ships are incredibly fast. We literally have a global bottleneck where the physical paper lags days behind the actual ships, leaving cargo just sitting at the docks waiting for an envelope to arrive via courier. It's wild.
Which brings us to Section 3, MLETR and the legal fix.
To fix this crippling bottleneck, we didn't just need new technology, we needed an entirely new legal framework. Because you simply cannot code your way out of a legal requirement for a physical piece of paper. The actual breakthrough was the UNCRTR Model Law on Electronic Transferable Records, affectionately known in the industry as MLETR. This brilliantly maps the physical requirement of possession into a brand new digital concept called exclusive control. As long as a system can definitively prove exclusive control, MLETR gives that electronic document the exact same legal standing as the paper original. A real game changer. Let's trace the timeline and see how this builds. This legal innovation started back in 2017 when UNCRTR adopted MLETR. but it was absolutely supercharged in 2023 by the UK's Electronic Trade Documents Act. This was a massive domino to fall because English law governs a disproportionately large share of international shipping contracts. So now, the legal foundation for EBLs is spreading rapidly across major global jurisdictions, from Singapore, Bahrain, and Abu Dhabi to France and even China, which is actively reviewing its own legislation as we speak.
Let's shift gears now to Section 4, the India Reality Check. Because while this global adoption is super exciting, when you dig into specific national laws, you have to be extremely careful about what is legally accurate versus what is just SEO-driven marketing hype. A perfect case study of this is India's Bills of Lading Act 2025, which was assented to by the president in July 2025. If you search online, you'll find multiple content sites falsely touting that this act sets mandatory EBL adoption percentages and milestones. But when you look at credible legal industry analysis, the reality is entirely different. The new act simply modernizes and simplifies the language of a colonial-era 1856 law. The drafters and legal analysts explicitly clarified that it does not create legal recognition for electronic bills of lading yet. That's still going to require a separate, detailed framework.
So the crucial point here is that when analyzing global trade transitions, you must always chase the better sourced, albeit more boring, legal reality over convenient, fabricated marketing claims. Unverifiable, highly specific statistics from content farms can completely derail your understanding of where a massive industry actually is in its modernization journey. And that leads perfectly into our final section, Part 5, Adoption and Interoperability Breakthroughs. To really understand where the industry actually stands today, we need to look at two numbers that seem to totally contradict each other. First up, a 2024 survey by the ICC, the International Chamber of Commerce, and the FIT Alliance showed that roughly 49% of respondents reported using EBLs in some capacity. On the surface, this sounds like massive, widespread adoption. Nearly half the industry is using them, right? But here is where the nuance is just brilliant. When you look at actual transaction volume, only about 5.7% of actual containerized bills of lading issued were EBLs as of early 2025, according to the Digital Container Shipping Association, or DCA. Now, these numbers don't contradict each other. They're just measuring different things. A huge chunk of the industry has tried EBLs, sure, but the overwhelming majority of daily global trade still fundamentally relies on paper. Industry bodies have pledged a target of 100% adoption by 2030, but it's important to remember that is a target, not a reflection of today's reality. However, there was a genuine massive technical milestone that just occurred in May 2025. A successful DCSA pilot proved that EBLs could actually be transferred between competing provider platforms. This is huge. Previously, if you picked one EBL provider, you were locked into their closed ecosystem. If your trading partner used a different platform, the digital document couldn't easily move between you. Solving this interoperability and eliminating single-vendor lock-in is arguably a bigger deal than any legal reform because it removes the main reason large trading companies have hesitated to adopt the technology. Yet, even with interoperability finally proven and national laws updating, we still have to acknowledge a hard truth. Just because a court accepts an EBL doesn't mean port operators and carriers are perfectly in sync on the ground. Legal validity does not automatically equal operational readiness.
There are still some pretty deep operational wrinkles to iron out. For instance, there is no universal data dictionary reconciling information across all these different systems. You can have something as frustrating as a timestamp mismatch between a physical port's sensor data and a carrier's EBL record. Because of these practical, on-the-ground technical realities, the industry is widely expecting a multi-year parallel hybrid period, where traditional paper and digital EBLs will have to run simultaneously on most trade routes.
Which leaves us with a fascinating final thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. If the 500-year-old legal barriers to exclusive possession are finally crumbling, and the cross-platform technology genuinely works, what will it actually take to finally force the physical paper off the ships for good? Is it just a matter of waiting for the infrastructure to catch up, or is the ultimate bottleneck simply human habit? Thanks for joining me to explore the true depths of digital shipping. See you next time.